Don't threaten to spit on me.
You're not going to intimidate our queen, Maxine.
Well, a right-wing militia group calls off a protest against Congresswoman Maxine Waters in South LA when many of her supporters showed up instead. It was a showdown that never happened. A militia group called for a protest in South LA against Representative Maxine Waters.
But by the time it was supposed to start, only Waters supporters showed up.
And CBS 2's Dave Lopez is live in South LA, where police were on standby just in case of confrontations. Dave?
Well, there were a number of police officers here just in case, as you said, Pat. Across the street, the field office where that one lone man who has not gone home from the protest. He's the only one left. That's the field office of Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who wasn't here today. Her offices were locked shut. No one was in there. She's in Washington. We did not get a response when we requested one. And it was a confrontation that many people expected, some wanted, but the opposition never showed. Supporters of Congresswoman Maxine Waters were ready. Some carried protection, just in case.
She is queen of Los Angeles. If you don't believe me, ask anybody out
You're
here.
not going to intimidate our queen, Maxine.
And on social media, a group called Oath Keepers had vowed to go to her office in South Los Angeles to protest. Protest what they called her far-left terrorist violence and threats of violence, based on what she said a few weeks ago.
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
Outside her field office today at 102nd and Broadway, a strong presence of the LAPD, and nerves were on edge.
Who are you?
And just before 1,
Man, let's go.
people supporting Maxine Waters thought they spotted Oath Keepers arriving across the street.
That's not them. That's not them.
It wasn't the Oath Keepers, but a different group coming to support Maxine Waters. A short time after that, the group was told by the LAPD that the Oath Keepers had called the LAPD and said, "We're not coming."
We don't know if it's a trick, but they said they're not coming.
Before 2 o'clock, the LAPD left. The crowd didn't.
You think there would have been problems? I think so.
Did you expect them to show?
Yeah, I wanted them to show.
Even if they would have come, there would have been 5 of them.
You know, it is what it is. We still out here.
An icon in South LA, Sweet Alice.
We're not out here to hate and fight. We're out here to show Maxine Waters we love her, but not to do nothing wrong. Nothing wrong.
But just after 2, some in the group took the American flag and burned it. There were no arrests, no real confrontation other than that one about the flag. The LAPD came back for a while as just to monitor the situation. And again, Maxine Waters was not in her office. We asked for a response from Washington, never got one. As far as the group goes that was supposed to come here and protest, on their website they said that they were expecting anywhere from 100 to 150 of them and to please be here, and they would protest for several hours. Never happened. Reporting live from outside the district of Maxine Waters here in South LA. I'm Dave Lopez, CBS 2 News.
Okay, so today I wanted to talk very quickly about the situation that happened in South Central Los Angeles a couple days ago on the 19th, which was on a Thursday. So Maxine Waters has been in the news recently because of statements she's made referencing members of the Trump administration. And, you know, she made a statement a few weeks back in reference to how she believes people should, you know, basically challenge members of the administration when they're out and about in restaurants, you know, wherever the case may be. And she made that statement after a few incidents that happened, you know, an incident with Sarah Huckabee Sanders and some other people in the Trump administration who have been not attacked. That's way too strong of a word, but they had been protested. I think that's a good word to use. Protested in public, which is perfectly legal. You know, there's nothing, you know, there's no sort of law preventing that. There's no law that says that you can't protest someone when they're eating, you know, at a restaurant. You know, that's as long as things don't get carried away and don't get too out of control, you know, that's protected under free speech rights. So I've never really agreed with people who say, well, just leave them be, let them. And no, if your policy is going to be the destroying of lives of people, okay, then people have the right to challenge you in public. I don't buy into this thing that you hear a lot of people try to echo, where we should just be nice and we should have some sort of moral civility. We should have some sort of level of civility, while the complete opposite side of the equation is uncivil every chance they get. They pass policies that do a lot of damage, and honestly, what we've seen is just the tip of the iceberg, in my honest opinion. I think things are gonna get a lot worse before they actually get better, and hopefully I'm wrong about that. Hopefully 2018 is the change that we need, but there's some funny business happening in the lead up to the 2018 midterms that causes me to actually believe, not really believe that. In terms of different hack attempts at state election boards, several midterm campaigns have been attacked by hackers and things like that. There's a lot of like bad stuff going on, and then too, on top of that, you have voter purges going on. I just saw an article before I made this video about 500,000 people in Georgia being purged from the voter rolls. They're trying to say that they were already listed as inactive voters, but vote rigging and election rigging is a real thing. It is actively taking place, and it is taking place on multiple fronts. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to talk about Maxine Waters. And so she made those comments a few weeks ago, and ever since then, okay, she's been getting a massive amount of death threats, okay, from the usual suspects, the MAGA idiots, as I call them. And so the Oath Keepers have taken an issue with her, and they decided that they were going to stage a quote-unquote protest. That's the language they decided to run with, because that's the legal language that they can use. Even though we all know that Charlottesville was built as a protest as well. Charlottesville was actually built as a free speech protest. So we all know that, their definition of protest is not the same, as the left's definition of protest. When they come to a protest, they're coming with arms and camouflage. Speaking specifically about the Oath Keepers. So, and by the way, the Oath Keepers, they're pretty much just a far right, white supremacist, anti-government militia. Okay, that's who they are. Okay, and they started, if you go to the Southern Poverty Law Center's website, I'm not going to go over their entire history. If you want to know about how they get down, just go to the Southern Poverty Law Center's website. They have a very thorough write-up on them. And they started after 2009. That's when the organization started, right after Barack Obama was elected. So the Oath Keepers are part of this rise in far-right fascism, this rise in far-right militarism, this rise in far-right extremism that we have seen get taken to another level since Obama has been in office, or since Obama got elected in 2008. Okay, they're part of that whole clique. They're part of that whole part of the country, and they're huge Trump supporters. All of these far-right militias are major Trump supporters. So here's the thing. They thought that they were going to show up at Maxine Waters' offices in South Central. It turns out she wasn't even there. I don't know if they knew that or not, but that came out after the fact that she wasn't even there. And she came out, when she got wind that they were going to have this protest, a day before, I want to say it was like maybe the 17th or the 18th, she came out and said that she didn't think that, people should counter protest. Because look, she's in South Central. She knows how people in LA get down. Okay, LA is not the place to go and start some shit. Like that is the worst possible place you can go and antagonize black people. Like if you want to start an altercation, go to South Central LA. Okay, if you want to start something, go to South Central. You have dudes in South Central who are not afraid to, get down with you, and who are not afraid to trade shots. I'm just keeping it real, and everybody knows that. Anybody who knows anything about LA and the history of LA knows that is not the place to go to start trouble. Okay, that is not Middle America, and I think the whole Middle America thing is BS anyway. But when I say that, I'm saying that's not cookie cutter America. That's what I'm trying to say. You might be able to get away with that in other areas of the country. You're not going to get away with that in South Central. So Maxine Waters knows that, and she was preemptive, and she said, hey, I don't think there should be counter-protests. Obviously, the counter-protesters still came out because Maxine Waters has to say that. Just in case the worst does happen, okay, Maxine Waters has to be able to say, hey, look, I didn't tell people to do that. So she has to say that to protect herself. And I think most people kind of understand that. But that didn't stop people from going out there and defending her regardless, right? So the Oath Keepers, to make a long story short, chickened out. They didn't show up. And here's the thing. They were there. They were on the ground. But they didn't actually show up because they didn't get police protection. Okay? They didn't get the police protection that they thought they would get. You see, that's what a lot of these white supremacists and these anti-government militias, that's what they like to do. That's what they did in Charlottesville. Okay, they came out and they came out to antagonize the left. Because in Charlottesville, there were a lot of white people out there too. It wasn't just black people in Charlottesville. They came out there to antagonize the left and to antagonize the white and black leftists that were out there counter-protesting. They were throwing out, and the right-wingers were throwing out all sorts of racial slurs, and they came out there armed, right? And they had the protection of the police. That's why if you look at a lot of those videos from Charlottesville, you'll literally see the police just standing there not doing anything. Okay, the right wing had the green light to cause chaos. Okay, and it wasn't until Heather Heyer was killed that the police came in and shut the whole thing down. Okay, so a lot of these right-wingers, a lot of these white supremacists, they will hide behind the cops, okay, because they know the cops are going to come out there and protect them from the leftists, okay, from the counter-protesters, who most of the time the counter-protesters are larger in number anyway. It's usually always more counter-protesters than the actual protesters. So and this is funny, I actually saw this on Twitter. I want to read this before I end this video. So I saw this on Twitter, and the Oath Keepers on their website are trying to claim victory, even though they ran with their tail between their legs because the LAPD wouldn't cape for them, basically. And the LAPD were like, well, let me just read this. It says, today before our, and this is short, it's only a couple paragraphs. Today before our protest against Maxine Waters' incitement of violence, which it wasn't an incitement of violence. That's their language. Okay, there is nothing Maxine Waters said that was calling for violence. So that's a complete and total BS lie. Okay. Before our protest against Maxine Waters was scheduled to begin, our advanced team leader on the ground, because they had people on the ground, some dude whose name I'm not even going to mention because it's irrelevant. They sent people to feel the crowd. So before the main Oath Keepers went down there, they sent out these little feelers, basically, to sort of see what was going on and see what the crowd was looking like. Their advanced team leader, along with the leadership of MAGA girls, I didn't actually know that was a thing, met with the LAPD leadership. We always liaison with local police before any event. That's very important. Okay, it's very important for them to point out. Okay, that kind of just tells you right there that they have some sort of a lot of times these right wingers, they have arrangements with allies within law enforcement. Because we all know the KKK and these different white supremacist groups and a lot of these militia groups have infiltrated law enforcement in huge numbers. It's I think, me personally, I think it's way worse than people want to admit. Okay. So they liaison with the local police and their allies within police departments before they do these events. And check this out. This next paragraph here is key. LAPD informed our leadership that there were already 50 Maxine Waters supporters in front of her office armed with steel pipes and baseball bats. So, like I said, the black people, the black folks out there weren't playing any games. Okay, they were prepared. They were ready. Okay, and and even if you watch the video I just played before this, before I started talking, the video from the local Los Angeles affiliate, I want to say it was a CBS affiliate. You had guys out there who were like, no, we were waiting for him. We were ready for him. And so let me continue. And LAPD also stated there were 3 busloads full of other Maxine Waters supporters staged nearby, waiting for us to arrive before they deployed. LAPD advised our on-the-ground leadership that LAPD could not guarantee the safety of any protesters and strongly advised that the protests not be held because of the danger. So the LAPD was like, look, there are clearly people out there who are armed. Y'all are armed. So you have 2 groups of armed people. Okay, look, LAPD is like, look, we're not about to get in the middle of you two. Okay, LAPD added that if a riot occurred and we were attacked, the LAPD officers would withdraw and we would be on our own. Let me repeat that. LAPD added that if a riot occurred and we were attacked, the LAPD officers would withdraw and we would be on our own. The Oath Keepers on their own website is showing you why they dipped. Okay, why they chickened out. That shows you right there that a lot of these white supremacists, the reason why they support the police so much is because they know the police protects them. They know the police sort of low-key protects white supremacy. And protects white supremacy and sometimes even white extremists from the left and from the opposing side. To allow, there have literally been protests where you will see the white supremacists hiding behind a row of armed police officers, and the armed police officers aren't looking at the white supremacists. The armed police officers have their backs towards the white supremacists. They're looking at the protesters. They're looking at the black and brown and even white counter protesters. Okay. So when they don't have that protection, they don't show up. That just goes to show you how cowardly they really are. You know what I'm saying? When they don't have that protection. And it's funny how this is supposed to be an anti-government group. Like, why are y'all dependent on the police anyway? I thought you guys didn't even like the police. You know, it seems like, you know, they like the police when it benefits them and when they actually need them. You know what I'm saying? But when, you know, when it comes to something like the Bundy situation, the Bundy Ranch and the Bundy militia, the Oath Keepers were involved in that too. If y'all remember that from like 2-3 years ago. You know, so when it comes to the Bundys and when it comes to white people being mad at the government, oh, they're ready to trade shots at that point. But when it's black people, oh, we need the police. We need police protection. You know, we need you guys to come out there and protect us from these. And they have the nerve to call. They had the nerve to call Maxine Waters. You know, they had the nerve to say that she was pushing for far left terrorist violence. That was the wording they used. You guys are showing up with guns and camouflage. And you have the nerve to call someone a terrorist? Let that stop. You guys have members who threaten law enforcement. Like you guys have you and I don't know, like, obviously I don't know everybody that's in the Oath Keepers. I don't know anybody that's in the Oath Keepers, but That whole anti-government militia sect of the right wing is thoroughly routinely makes attacks against law enforcement and threatens attacks against law enforcement. So for anyone on that side of the aisle claiming people on the left are being terrorists because we are trying to stand up to our rights literally being taken away from us, and we're challenging people nonviolently in public. No, that's not terrorism. That's protected. That is protected under the Constitution, whether you like it or not. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say about this. I'm glad nothing bad happened, but this needed to happen. The counter protest, the way it happened, needed to happen. I'm not in that camp on the left that just wants people to cower in their effing boots. While these white supremacists run ruckshot over the country. I am not in that camp. Okay, by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, I am not part of the cowardly left. Okay, but I'm a digress on that. I'm not gonna push that envelope too much. So definitely be on the lookout for my next video. Check out my blog. I will post this video on my blog soon. www.blackandintellectual.com. By the way, I'm looking for writers. So if you are a writer, you like writing about politics, race, current events, any of that stuff, any of the stuff that I talk about on my YouTube channel or on my blog itself, and maybe even some topics that I don't cover because I'm not as well versed enough in those topics, or I just don't have the time to put into other topics. Hit me up if you're interested about writing about certain things that you don't see me writing about or talking about a whole lot. And, I'll see if it fits on the website, and, if I like it, I'll post it. But I'm definitely looking for writers. So if you're interested, contact me, email me at blackandintellectual@protonmail.com, and we will chop it up. But, just definitely be on the lookout for the next video, and I will talk to you later.